Hi there, my name is Bob Dietrich. I'm here with Alma Galvan, and we're here today to talk a little bit about BrainWorx, about her story, how did BrainWorx come about, and what it can do to help you and your children. So Alma, welcome.
Thank you.
So let's start with your kids. You have two boys, right?
Yes.
And how old are they?
They are now 26 and 24.
So I remember talking to you about your challenges, and after your first son was diagnosed with autism, ADD, ADHD, sensory disorder, and then your second son was diagnosed with similar challenges, you had made a decision at that point that you were going to find a solution that was going to transform them. You knew it was out there, you knew in your heart it was out there, but you didn't have that information. What steps did you take, and what happened? How was that process? How did that process go?
Well, I definitely knew I had a humongous challenge and that there had to be a way. I think that's the number one thought that I had, is that there just had to be a way that kids could be helped, or that we could be helped without medicine. And so I seriously put myself on a quest to find as many things as I possibly could and figure out what would work for my kids. Mm-hmm. And so I learned discrete trial, pivotal response, floor time, you name it. I did a lot of things, but then when I actually came to neurological reorganization, that's
mm-hmm.
when
everything shifted.
Oh my gosh, everything started to shift.
Wow.
I mean, I saw humongous challenges start to dissipate little by little, but in a very short amount of time, which I had not seen with any of the other modalities that I did.
That's fantastic. So from what I understand, BrainWorx is a collection of different processes that you found that really are effective and really work quickly.
Yeah, I've worked with thousands of people up until now,
mm-hmm.
and if they do the modalities that worked for my kiddos, mm-hmm. and they work for everybody.
So it sounds like neurological reorganization really made the difference. Tell us a little bit about what neurological reorganization is.
So neurological reorganization is actually when we go back and
mm-hmm.
using movements, we finish developing the early centers of the brain.
Okay, so early centers of the brain or lower centers of the brain, what are those?
So one's called the pons,
uh-huh.
P-O-N-S,
uh-huh.
and then the other one's called the midbrain. These two parts of the brain are responsible for giving us automatic functions that allow us to be able to learn easily and to just be able to have an easier time in life, to be happy.
Right. And so what do they do? So you got the pons. What does the pons do?
The pons is responsible for the fight or flight, which is one of the major ones that we really need to be in control of.
Right, because behavioral issues or challenges that children have is all about fight or flight, right?
Absolutely.
So if your child if you ask them to do homework, I guess, that's why they resist so hard, or maybe even throw a tantrum, because they go immediately to fight or flight, I guess because their pons not developed.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So as you work with the children to develop their pons, you're saying what happens to the fight or flight?
It starts to dissipate. They actually don't go into fight or flight anymore, unless it's something more extreme. But they become more regulated. They become more agreeable. They become more able to go with the flow.
Yeah. So when your pons is developed, it sounds like the fight or flight mechanism only turns on when there's a real threat.
Absolutely.
And then if it's not developed, like with a child that's displaying behavioral challenges, then it's always on.
It can be turned on for anything. It could be turned on when the child is watching TV and it's like, hey, it's time to go take a shower. They can go into fight or flight at that
must be really frustrating for the child.
And the parent.
And the parent, right. And the teacher too, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the pons. So if the pons develop, those issues go away, and that's part of what your program does.
Yes.
What about the midbrain? What does the midbrain do?
The midbrain has an array of functions.
Mm-hmm.
It has auditory processing, auditory discrimination, visual imagery, visual closure, being able to shift gears, so being able to just go with the flow, transitions, being able to pay attention to what's important.
Oh, like focus.
Like focus.
So if a kid can't focus, then their midbrain's underdeveloped.
It's a huge contributor to that.
Ah, okay. So that's why the learning challenges get corrected, because you help develop the midbrain.
Yes.
And okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So if the midbrain is developed, then different challenges like maybe writing challenges or reading challenges or focus challenges,
Absolutely.
all of those start to go away.
Yes.
And they start to be able to operate at their higher potential.
Yes, and just be happier kids. That's
Wow.
one of the biggest things that I see and that I absolutely love, that I feel like, when a child has to work so hard at just compensating for everything that they're being asked to do, they literally can't be kids. And to me, that's one of the biggest things, that it's a sad thing that they have to work so hard that they just can't relax and go with the flow with whatever their parent is asking.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, I've had the opportunity to interview several of parents that have worked with you, and even a few of the children, and the stories are just amazing. That they, after just a couple weeks, they start to see results, but after they do the whole program and then start to implement it into their lives, they just see this transformational effect. It's almost unbelievable, and I can't believe that it's not a mainstream.
I agree. I mean, I definitely saw the shifts, tremendous shifts in my kids, and not only in my kids, but because I had to do the movements with them, I saw the shifts in me.
So we talked about the behavioral and the learning challenges, right? And that's the brain development part of BrainWorx. Is there anything else that BrainWorx offer, or is that where the main focus is?
No, there's two more parts. One is there's specific movements that help the parents and the kids learn how to regulate themselves, that they can keep themselves more integrated and more in the now, being able to be more present. So those are over 30 movements that we teach the parents to do.
Okay.
And then the other part that completely, from a parent's perspective, it was one of the most amazing features or techniques, and it's called the rewire, which is looking at emotions and looking at what triggers us. And so when I started doing emotional work on myself, it shifted everything. I could actually stay present.
So tell us about what do you mean by emotional work?
So it's looking at subconscious beliefs, and 80% of our beliefs are given to us before we're 7 years old, and these are the programs that run our life pretty much, because we're an automatic pilot 95% of the day.
Right.
So we look at those beliefs that we have, and we basically rewire for them.
Fantastic.
So we insert new beliefs.
So I've done a lot of personal development work, and what they say is that 95 to 99% of your everyday actions are automatic behaviors, right? That are hardwired into your subconscious mind, and personal development. The whole field is the whole point of personal development is to shift your thoughts, your thought processes. And so, is that similar to what you're talking about?
Absolutely.
And you can do it through movements.
Yes, a rewire can be done within minutes.
Wow. Okay. And so, how does the rewire handle the emotional challenges that a child might have?
So when I rewire an emotion, I can stay present, and I can actually really stay in my cortex and help.
Your cortex, meaning your conscious mind?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And instead of reacting, I can support my child in what he's going through.
Okay. So instead of having this knee-jerk reaction based on your subconscious beliefs and your past history, the child's able to use their conscious mind and think before they act, and then have a different result.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's really good. So we have a video we want to share with you, and this video is showing Adrian's story. Adrian is Alma's second son, and it shows him before he started doing the movements that are now the BrainWorx method. It'll show him before, and then as he's progressing through the process, and then it shows him 6 years later. So take a look at this, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Dark. The dark makes you frightened? What do you think is going to happen in the dark? Who's talking to you? Who's talking to you? Then show me.
Even with a tactile prompt, he still avoids making eye contact.
The thing is really scared. I'm a little boy. I'm a little baby. I'm not scared of the dark. I'm a boy. I am scared of the dark. What do you think is going to happen in the dark? Who's talking to you? Scared. Are you afraid something's very...
When your midbrain is underdeveloped, eyes are not able to converge, making eye contact painful.
Where am I? Where am I? I'm not over there. You come in the dark?
You sleep with the little light on? Or is it on dark?
It's on door. It's only all light.
Okay, you know what I want to do today? I want to see some brain change.
Notice how Adrian puts his feet on the table, his body slouches, and his tongue comes out of his mouth as soon as he's given directions on what he will do next. This is what happens when the cortex is overwhelmed. It's not hard to see how he was given many different labels. From an early brain development standpoint, the behaviors he's exhibiting would be considered typical of an infant.
Be a brain gym teacher?
Hello, teacher. I have Tom and Sarah here. Ready? First black and white, the mean over, a mighty swimmer, a restless rover. He looks like a fish from head to tail, but he isn't a fish, he's a killer whale.
Did you notice his effortless eye contact?
Another one. And I have two more for you. The grail of the sea has the grail of the first.
Before brain work, messing up would have warranted a 2-hour tantrum. Notice how he continued after a simple prompt.
When she waits for a way, like she wishes served. But she's not a friend. No, she's waiting here. When us are separate, she makes reference to you.
At this point, it seems like Adrian has lost eye contact, but in fact, he's drawing attention to how he's been standing steady on his balance board.
And look at my horse. Steady. I have another one. And I have two more for you. 5 minutes, please.
Get running. So what do you think? Keep it running my time. What do you think about that?
Amazing.
Do you remember anything like that when life was back then? Do you remember not being able to say what you were thinking? You remember that? But when you look at that, how did it seem did it seem like you or somebody else? Which one?
I was it made me feel like I was someone else's body.
Yeah, that didn't even seem like you.
But now I feel like I'm back in my own body.
So as you can see, Adrian had a remarkable transformation, and it was in a very short period of time, and he had some very severe challenges that he was working with. Your child may not have those severe challenges, which means you'll see transformation in a much quicker amount of time. So again, you've worked with thousands of kids, thousands of not just children but families, and you've seen some amazing results. I know I've interviewed these people, and they can't stop raving about it. I invite you to give it a try. BrainWorx is a transformational program that will work every time if you do the movements, if you follow the program, and we're here to help you with that. So Alma, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching.
Thank you.